guys, it's Courtney and welcome back. So today I'm doing another story time video for you, and the last one was kind of a little bit like unplanned-ish. Like, I planned it, but I had planned to upload it to my vlog channel, but I had been debating on adding them to this channel instead for a while, so I asked you guys on Instagram and I did a little poll on Twitter, and for the most part you guys wanted to see it on this channel. So I'm still testing out the waters. Let me know if you like the videos on this channel. If you don't, they're not taking away from my normal Tuesday, Saturday videos. As you can see, they're just going to be like an extra video every Thursday for as long as I decide to make them and as long as you guys want to see them. And today I'm going to be sharing my paranormal experience with you guys. And for this one, I'm going to give you guys a little backstory because I have been just like really afraid of ghosts for the longest time. So I think to get to the root of the problem, let's go back to when it all began. When I was about 6 years old or so, my parents got divorced and my grandparents had taken my mom, my sister, and I, and the rest of like that side of the family to Tennessee. So we all got like a big cabin and we were staying there, and it was like a nice little getaway for my mom and whatnot. So we were in there. And now my mom, sister, and I believe my aunt, we're all staying down in the basement part of the cabin. But before we even went down there, you know, we were just kind of hanging out on the main floor. I had like glimpsed at it. I remember the main floor more than I remembered the area we were supposed to be staying at, because here's where things get interesting. When we got there, we were just kind of all hanging out on the main level and whatnot. And there was this guest book that, you know, everybody who had stayed there had like wrote their comments, what was cool to do in the area, what they thought about it, and it was multiple pages. It was so many different pages of different people, and you know, they either signed it or wrote something. So I always love to read, as many of you know. So I was going through the book, reading, you know, what people thought about this place. And, you know, I read one, and it was like, well, the downstairs is haunted. And then I was reading more, and more people were saying, you know, I saw a ghost or something downstairs. The downstairs is definitely haunted, this and that. And it was multiple times. And before that, I feel like I knew what like ghosts were and stuff. I didn't know if they were real, but I didn't really give it much thought until I actually had to stay in a place that people believed was haunted. So I'm this little kid and I am terrified to go stay down there. It was just not happening. I was crying. I was like, Mom, I'm not staying down there. It's haunted, blah, blah, blah. And we were staying a couple nights. So the first night she's like, okay, you could stay upstairs, but you know, we're going to show you nothing's going to happen. And then you're going to come downstairs, you know, after that. And all I remember is I stayed upstairs with my aunt and uncle. So every night I threw like a huge tantrum and I didn't want to go down there. That was kind of like a long side story, but that is like kind of where I first thought, oh my gosh, ghosts might be real. So ever since then, the kind of concept of ghosts have creeped me out. Some people are super interested. I'm just like, I don't want to see a ghost. They're probably all around. Who knows? I do not want to come into contact with them. So fast forward to a few years ago, and it must have been maybe like 2 years ago, if that, maybe a year. And we were staying down at my aunt's house down in Homestead. And we were like playing games with my aunt and we were just talking and whatever. And she had always said that she kind of felt like, you know, something in the back half of the house. Like she would feel like, you know, my great-grandfather's presence or someone's like presence, and she just felt it. And I get like creeped out by that kind of stuff. And so she was talking, and this was right, it must have been longer than 2 years ago, because this is around the time I started driving. And she told me this story about when she first got her license, you know, she got a ticket or whatever and had to go to driving school. And they showed her pictures of, you know, people who had died in accidents and all this stuff. And ever since then, after she went to driving school, she came home and she saw this girl who would come and visit her at night. And without getting into too much details, because that's kind of more like a private story and not my story to share, but she basically saw this girl for like 2 years until one night she like prayed with my grandma and that the girl would, you know, find peace and whatever. And it's giving me chills just to think about it. And that then she finally stopped visiting her, in other words. So after that, I was so freaked out. I'm like, okay, I have never met a person who has actually seen a ghost before, and this is my aunt. She's not going to make it up. But then a thought went through my head earlier. I was like, maybe she was just trying to scare me to, you know, drive good. So I called her, like the other day. I called her, and I was like, Jojo, is this real? And she was like, yeah, it actually happened. I was like, you weren't trying to scare me out of being a bad driver or anything? She was like, no, it actually happened. So that creeps me out to know that somebody I actually trust has had like a paranormal experience. I was not about to go to sleep after hearing that story. I was terrified. I kept thinking I would open my eyes in the middle of the night and see something there. Now, my stepsister and I were staying in the same room, so that made it a little bit better, but it was dark, and anytime I'm in like an unfamiliar like room or something that I'm sleeping in, I get so afraid of like any noise or sound or something because I'm not used to it. I finally fell asleep, and we were both sleeping, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, I sit straight up in bed, just like perfectly sitting like I am now, and I screamed. I was, "Oh my God, there's something over there!" My stepsister wakes up super fast. She's like, "What? What's over there?" And I fall back to sleep. And she wakes me up. She's like, "Courtney, what'd you see? What'd you see?" So she's like freaking out because we both heard the story. And I was like, "Nothing. Go back to sleep." She's like shining her phone all over the room to see what's in the room. She's like, "What did you see though?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Go back to sleep." Basically what had happened is I sleep talk and sleep walk a lot when I am not in my own bed, in my own comfortable surroundings. I talk a lot in my sleep. I scream a lot in my sleep. I'll get up and go look for someone in my sleep. And I tried to escape a hotel one time in my sleep. I sleepwalk and sleep talk a lot. So I don't know if I actually saw something like subconsciously, but that's kind of like my experience with paranormal activity type of stuff. It creeps me out. I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm afraid. And I kind of want to say leave your paranormal experiences in the comments down below if you feel inclined to, but I probably won't read a lot of them because I will be like, if it's legit, I'm gonna be scared. So even though this story wasn't like I saw a ghost, I think the story about my aunt and stuff was really cool, and that's kind of how I started learning about ghosts and kind of my experience with them. I haven't had too many like personal things happen to me, but like my heart's feeling like super racy right now, so I'm gonna stop talking about it. That's just kind of, my experience with that's like the most interesting thing that's ever happened to me with regards to ghosts and whatnot. So I thought I would share it with you guys. Nothing too crazy. I know some people have like intense stories and that would freak me out. But yeah, that's my story. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys Saturday for a brand new video. Bye!